Good evening. This is Miss Omnia. I hope all are doing well. Today, inshallah, I will summarize what we took in week 8 about the impact on the atmosphere. Okay, this lesson in Unit 4, impact on the environment, also Module 1, impact on the environment. Uh, Today we have to know what is the meaning of word atmosphere, and we have two types of impact, negative and positive. So in this lesson we have to know what are the negative impacts on the atmosphere and how humans can protect and reduce pollution. First of all, atmosphere is the blanket of air that surrounds the earth. So atmosphere means atmo means air that surrounded the earth's surface. So atmosphere means air or a blanket of air that surround the earth's surface. Uh, the two mainly gases that or most gases that we can find in the atmosphere, nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen consists 78%, oxygen only 21, and other gases such as the carbon dioxide, the methane, the water vapor, the greenhouse gases. Okay, these are consisting only 1%. So mainly two gases that consist in the atmosphere, nitrogen and oxygen. We took about vertical forests like this picture, and we have to know what is the function of these buildings that you can see in this photo. First of all, we have to know what is the meaning of word vertical forests. Building type, okay, that involves covering building fronts with trees and plants. So all the flats, all the floors will be covered with trees and plants to what? To act like giant pacifier which can absorb air pollution and release clear oxygen or a clear air that is very helpful to the atmosphere. So what is the purpose of these buildings? These buildings or these plants can absorb air pollution and release or produce oxygen. Okay, here these are many photos about vertical forests in different countries, in Italy, China, Switzerland, Dubai, UAE also. They have this type of forest that decrease the amount of pollution in the atmosphere, and also for England. Okay, this is what we call that a vertical forest, which is consists of many type of trees and plants that cover the front side of the buildings. Okay, then in page 61 we talked about some human activities that harm and cause damage to the quality of the air. One of these activities, driving non-electrical cars, in normal cars that work or that can run with fuels. Okay, this will produce smokes, and these smokes can affect the atmosphere. So instead affect and cause air pollution. Instead of using in non-electrical cars, we can go through electrical cars or hybrid cars, or we can use our bicycles, walking. We can go through public transportation. Okay, the second activity or the second source that affect the air quality, which is burning the fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, they burn these materials such as coal for what? To heat and power houses, businesses, and factories, to give us electricity, to generate electricity. So instead of using these materials, they can go through a renewable resources such as the sun or solar energy, such as wind, water energy, okay, through turbines. Also, they can go through something called geothermal. We will take later on what is the meaning of word geothermal. Okay, the third activity that will affect and harm the quality of the air, which is cutting and clearing a lot amount of trees, also burning the forests. This will lead to more pollution and increase the pollution in this area, and it will affect and harm the ozone layers and will affect the quality of the atmosphere. So when you want to cut trees or go through deforestation to get wood, you can reforest again or reimplant again some types of trees to what? To absorb air pollution and uh, produce or release oxygen. طبعا many people go through the smoking, and this is one of the main causes or main source that will affect the atmosphere. So you know that the smoking, one of the solid materials that mix with the water vapor in the atmosphere and cause harm, and it will affect the atmosphere. So instead of smoking in public areas, you can go through specific places for smoking or reduce or avoid the smoking. This is how we counteract this problem. Burning wood or other materials, when you want to burn wood, for example, to heat yourselves in winter, you can planting more trees to absorb this air pollution. The last activity or the last source that the human activities or humans can do and affect the quality of the air, which is called chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. This what we call it compounds that affect the ozone layer. These compounds containing, where we can find these compounds in old refrigerators, old ACs, all the solvents, pesticides, air refreshener, uh, coolers, all of these materials, we can use them daily. So these materials produce this type of compounds that affect and harm the ozone layer, which is an important layer that covers the atmosphere, because it prevents introduction of ultraviolet X-rays or ultraviolet rays to the Earth's surface and decrease the damage of these or harmful effects of these rays. It will cause skin cancer and it will prevent the growth of plants and animals. We have to reduce the usage of these compounds. They use nowadays other compounds that less pollute the air and the atmosphere, which is called the hydrofluorocarbons. Okay, this is for your knowledge. They use it to decrease the amount of pollution into the atmosphere. So here I told you many sources that affect the air pollution, and I mentioned a lot of causes, but we have to know what is air pollution. Air pollution, we took before what is the meaning of word contamination, or sorry, pollution. Pollution means contamination. So air is one of the what? One of the natural resources that we have preserved and save it, because we can breathe from this air, the oxygen, and this air protect us for many other things that will harm us. So we have to protect the atmosphere as well. So contamination of the earth atmosphere by harmful substances, by human activities, okay, this will lead to what? This will lead to many diseases, and the effects of air pollution will cause respiratory diseases, will cause sometimes cardiovascular diseases, will affect other organisms such as plants, animals, and even the humans. Again, what is air pollution? Normally, when it increase or population grows or increases, they use more energy, or they want more energy for what? To heat and cool the home, to fuel cars, airplanes, and other forms of transportation, and to produce, generate electricity. طبعا increase the amount of houses and buildings, they want to burn more fossil fuels to generate electricity, so more air pollution. Increase the population will increase the number of cars, that will lead for what? For increasing smoke that will affect the quality of the air. So increase of population will lead to more air pollution. This energy, burning fossil fuels, will affect the composition, will viability, the quality of the atmosphere. We will know how. Again, what is the meaning of word air pollution? Contamination of air by harmful substances, by it occurs during what? The human activities. Some of these particles or substances that will affect the quality of the air, such as the gases and the smoke. This is what we call air pollution. What are the sources and the causes or the types of air pollution? Inshallah, in this lesson, we will talk about 4 sources or 4 causes. The first one, which is called photochemical smog. The second one, what we call that is CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. The third one, what we call that a particulate matter. And the last one, which is called the acid precipitation. Let's go through the first source or the first type of pollution, which is called the photochemical smog. What is the meaning of word photo? Photo comes from the sun. So these chemicals will interact with the sunlight to form new substances. So photo, this word comes from where? From the sun. So there is a relation between these chemicals and the sunlight. Chemical substances or pollutants that are released into the atmosphere. What is the meaning of word smog? A smog may be a new word that you didn't hear about it, which it means that smoke plus fog. You know what is the meaning of word fog. So fog plus smoke equal to smog. Again, SMO come from smoke and the G comes from fog. So smog means smoke plus fog. Look to this picture. Look to this one. Look how it appears when it affects by these chemicals, which is smoke plus fog. It will form hazy atmosphere, unclear and unhealthy or non-healthier atmosphere. What is the meaning of word photochemical smog? Is one type or one source of air pollution formed when sunlight react with some substances or some materials that will lead to what? That will lead to form in new materials that affect the quality and the viability of the atmosphere. I repeat again, what is the meaning of word photochemical smog? Here, when nitrogen and carbon compounds, such as a nitrous oxide or nitrogen oxides, and the carbon oxides, okay, react with what? I told you photo means or related to sunlight. So it will react with the sunlight. It will form what? It will form new substances that are very harmful and dangerous to the atmosphere. From where these materials and these substances come? They come from, or they are released when we are going through a burning of fossil fuels to provide energy for vehicles and power plants. Generating electricity, you will go through burning fossil fuels. Provide energy for vehicles, you will go through burning fossil fuels. When you go through burning fossil fuels, these factories will release these type of materials that are very harmful and dangerous to the atmosphere. When these compounds, nitrous oxide or carbon dioxide, react with the sunlight, what will happen? This will form a new substances. One of these substances, which is called the ozone. Ozone, formula O3, three O's, okay? This one, close to the Earth's surface, make air difficult to breathe. If it is formed in lower atmosphere around the Earth's surface, it causes many negative impacts to the humans and other organisms. So it can damage or cause difficulty for breathing. Also, it will damage the tissues of the plants and animals. It will affect the plants, tissue, and animals. Also, ozone play an important role where in the upper atmosphere. We know that our atmosphere made up of many layers, okay? I don't want you to know what are the layers, but I want you to know that the ozone layer, one of the important, or it's located in stratosphere layer, which is covered the earth, and it protects us from the harmful damage of the ultraviolet radiations. So in the lower atmosphere is harmful, but while the ozone in the higher atmosphere, in the upper layers, this layer will protect us or will protect the other organisms from the sun's ultraviolet radiation. This is what we call the ozone. It's located in the stratosphere, this layer, which is cover the Earth's surface. It absorbs a lot amount of ultraviolet rays from the sun. Formula of the ozone O3. It's made up of 3 oxygen, if you want to know extra information. So these are some pictures related to photochemical smog. Look to the color of the air and how it formed by what burning fossil fuels that will produce and release a lot of chemicals that will react with the sunlight, produce harmful substances. The second source, which is called chlorofluorocarbons, what we call that? Chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons, I mentioned before in the activity, is that the humans can use these compounds when they use many materials, such as old refrigerators, old ACs, aerosols, pesticides, solvents, cooler, air refreshener. All of these are materials that made up of these compounds, CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. In 1970, scientists suggested that the CFCs could destroy the ozone layer in our atmosphere, and we know what are the effects when this layer affected, and depletion and thinning. It will lead to more ultraviolet radiation to enter the Earth's surface. Study revealed the thinning of the ozone layer in Antarctica or over Antarctica, it comes from CFCs. We know that all the CFC or all the causes that produce CFCs compounds come from the human activities, not natural resources or not natural processes. Okay, we can find it in old refrigerators and air conditioners, also in aerosol cans, some solvents, pesticides. خلاص الأوزون in the upper atmosphere will absorb ultraviolet rays or radiation from the sun. CFC react with sunlight and destroy ozone molecule. CFCs, I will show you this picture. So these are the causes of producing a CFCs refrigerators, aerosol, plastic foam, solvents. I want to tell you that the CFCs will react with the sunlight and harm the ozone layer. The chlorine mainly will harm the ozone layer, and thinning of this layer will lead to introduce more amount of ultraviolet radiation that will affect and harm the Earth's surface. As a result, the ozone layer thins and more ultraviolet rays reach the Earth's surface. What are the impacts of these rays? It will affect and harm the human body, the skin mainly. It will lead or cause skin cancer, and also it will prevent or harm the tissue of plants and animals. Okay, and also maybe prevent the growth of plants. So it leads to many effects and impacts that harm the atmosphere. Look to this picture. First of all, طبعا, according to this number one, CFC released from burning fossil fuels sometimes, or old refrigerators, mainly old refrigerators with ACs, خلاص, or aerosols. Okay, CFC will rise into the ozone layer or into the Earth's surface, and the ultraviolet or sunlight will react with the CFCs. The chlorine will destroy the ozone, mainly the chlorine. Okay, will destroy the ozone, or this compound will destroy the ozone and depleted the ozone and thinning of this layer. More ultraviolet radiation will enter the Earth's atmosphere and more skin cancer will be there. The third one, which is called the particulate matter. What is the meaning of word particulate matter? Particulate means small particles. So what is the meaning of word particulate? It comes from word small particles. These small particles will release into the atmosphere, and it will cause harm and damage to the quality and viability of the atmosphere. So the mix of both solid and liquid particles in the air, mixing between what is solid materials that you produce to the air plus a liquid, so it will harm the quality of the air. What are some solid particles, such as the dirt, such as the dust, such as the smoke when you are going to smoking or is smoking from the vehicles or from the industries? Okay, these smokes are in solid states. With dust مثلا it will affect also the atmosphere. طبعا these will produced from what? From natural resources and also human activities. In natural resources or in natural processes such as the volcanic eruption. When volcano erupt, what will happen? Erupt, ashes and lava will be produced into the Earth's surface, and volcano made up of hot molten materials, which is called lava, plus ash, plus some gases that will harm the atmosphere. So it will cause air pollution. What else? Sandstorm will cause air pollution. Hurricane, fire. Okay, with all of these are natural resources from Allah, and it will cause air pollution. What are some activities that made up or by humans or formed by humans, such as the burning fossil fuels, which is the main cause of this material to be produced into the air, which is the burning fossil fuels. It will lead to what? It will lead to more smoke to the air, and the smoke, one of the materials that will react with water and harm the quality of the air. Okay, this they want to burn the fossil fuels for generating electricity and running the vehicles, and this will release طبعا particulate matter, and it will harm and affect the quality of the air. What are the negative impacts of these materials or of these substances? It will cause bronchitis. What is the meaning of word bronchitis? We took before uh, so, one part of or some parts of the respiratory system which is called bronchi. Okay, and the bronchi are the small branches that lead to the lungs. These bronchi will be affected and be inflamed. Bronchitis, itis, mainly inflammation in bronchi. Okay, what else? It will cause asthma and difficulty breathing. Also, when you go, for example, or you have some dust in your bed, you can um you cannot breathe well, and you have a lot of cough. So this amount, or if it increased in the atmosphere, it will affect and harm the atmosphere and cause these effects and these diseases. Also, maybe sometimes will lead to heart attack, to stop the pumping of the heart. What else? Not only humans, it will lead to affect, also interfere with the two main processes in plants, which are photosynthesis for making food, cellular respiration for breathing. They want oxygen to breathe, and they want photosynthesis to go through photosynthesis to make food. So these materials or these particles will interfere with the normal two processes of the plant. Look, these are some particles that are released into the atmosphere and cause damage to the atmosphere. This will come from industrial emission or coal burning, also construction dust from the construction area, soil dust, volcano, sandstorm. All of these are sources or causes of these materials to be produced into the air. Smoke, dust, and dirt. طبعا here from natural processes, fire of the forests will lead to produce this material particulate matter to the atmosphere. It will react to the water vapor, and it will cause damage to the tissue or interfere in normal processes of the plants, and it will affect also the humans. The last source, which is called the acid precipitation. What is the meaning of word precipitation? We took before that the water cycle is made up of four processes. The first process, which is called the evaporation. The second one, the condensation. The third one, precipitation. And the fourth one, which is called the runoff. Precipitation means when the clouds are filled with water and it becomes heavy, it has to fall, or the water will be fall down into the ground as precipitation, as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Okay, we know that, or the pH of normal or pure water is equal to 7. Okay, what is the meaning of word pH? pH is the graph that determine or indicate the acidity of the materials or substances. Some materials are acidic, while other are basic or alkaline. So pH, it consists of many numbers from 0 to 14. In the middle, which is 7, which is a nutrient, below neutral, sorry, below 7 acidic, and above 7 alkaline or basic, such as a soap, and below 7 acidic, such as a vinegar, for example. In normal water, in neutral, such as in water that you drink equal to 7 neutral. A normal rain acid, or a normal, rain that falls down into the ground, it has pH equal to what? 5.6. Little bit acidic, okay? Little bit acidic. It's below 7 or neutral, but it's acceptable. Why it has pH of 5.6? Because we know that when you are breathing out, you will release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, and this gas will dissolve into the air or dissolve in this area, and the water will become slightly acidic. While the acid rain or the acid precipitation, rain or snow, they have pH lower than 5.6. Reach maybe it will equal from 3 to 5.5. Okay, usually between 4.5 or 5.5, or sometimes 3. طبعا pH 3 is very acidic, and this will harm and affect many organisms and even the soil. Let's go through this slide. The acid precipitation is rain or snow. Precipitation, maybe it will be in 4 forms: rain or snow, sleet or hail. Okay, here they mentioned only 2 forms, which are rain and snow. Maybe it will be as acidic rain or acidic snow, okay, that has lower pH than the normal rainwater. What is the pH of normal rainwater? 5.6. If it is lower than 5.6, so it's acidic rain. Understand? Okay. Acid precipitation forms when gases containing nitrogen and sulfur react with water, oxygen, and other chemicals in the atmosphere. Look to this picture, please. GIF, sorry. Here are some causes or sources that produce some compounds. What are the compounds? Nitrous oxide or nitrogen compounds plus sulfur compounds will react with what? With water in the atmosphere, and it will form an acid rain or acid precipitation. From where these compounds will come? These compounds will come from the industries, from the traffic, from burning fossil fuels, sometimes natural processes such as the volcanoes, rotting vegetations, marshes sometimes will produce sulfur. We will know all of these causes. So when these compounds, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, these react with water vapor. So before it forms clouds, it will react with water vapor and form the clouds. Then what will happen? When it falls as acidic rain. So here, from burning fossil fuels, these compounds, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and carbon dioxide, will react and combine with the water vapor. And then it will form, or they will form some clouds. When these clouds become heavy, this water will go down or fall down as acid precipitation. What are the causes? Natural causes, the volcanoes. When the volcano erupted, what will happen? Some gases or compounds such as sulfur oxide, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide will go through the atmosphere and react with the water vapor and cause acidic compounds. And marshes, some marshes, plants in this area, and marshes which are wetlands, okay, produce sulfur. And the main cause of acid precipitation, burning fossil fuels. المين cause burning fossil fuels, human activities. Burning fossil fuels is the major source of sulfur emissions. When the sulfur compounds react with water vapor, they will produce acid precipitation. What will cause, or what are the negative impact of acid precipitation? Because of this water, it less than normal, or it has high acidic range, so it can affect the soil. Also, it will affect the vegetations and the trees. Also, when it falls down to the rivers and lakes, it will affect what? It will affect the aquatic organisms. And what else? It will affect the buildings. How it will affect the buildings? When these acids go through buildings, maybe it will change the color of the building, or it can disintegrate or erode some uh, stones, or break down some areas in this building. What else? It can cause corrosion. What is the meaning of word corrosion? When the metal becomes brown in color, it can cause eroded or erosion to the metals. So acid rain can pollute also soil. The soil will become acidic, and the plants cannot get the water, and they prevent the growth of the plants, and they will harm the growth of the plants. When it falls in lakes and rivers, it will affect the aquatic organisms such as the fish and algae with bacteria that live there. Uh, Many organisms cannot survive if the pH of the water and the soil less than the normal. So these are some causes that affect or that cause acid rain. Natural causes such as fires from the forest, volcanic eruption, lightning, مرات بيكون rotting vegetations. الhuman activities أو human causes, smoking from the vehicles, burning fossil fuels, major cause أو main cause for powering plants. So it will affect the vegetation, plants, and soil. It will prevent the growth of the plants. It will affect the aquatic organisms, and it will affect, increase the acidity of the water. Increase the acidity of the water will lead to damage and harm the quality of the water, and will lead to the death of some of or aquatic organisms. Uh, Decrease the pH in this area. It will change the color. Look to this building. It appears as pink in color, but because of this acid rain, it changed into green in color. Okay. Uh, Also, it can distinguish many parts of the buildings. Look to this photo. Also, a cycle of the acid rain. Burning fossil fuels will lead to produce many compounds that consist of sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, plus carbon dioxide. These will react with what? This will react with water vapor and form what? And form clouds. The clouds will become heavy. These clouds will um, release, or the rain will fall down into the rivers, soil, and streams, and it causes damage to these areas. So also it can cause metal erosion. Look at this picture. It can lead to brownish in color of these metals. Also, it can erode some structure or some parts of the stones. Look to this and this. No eyes, no nose, and mouth. It erodes by this acid, the effects of acid. How we can save and protect the atmosphere? How save our Mother Earth? This is before pollution, and this after pollution. How can we protect the atmosphere? Preserving the quality of the atmosphere requires cooperation of governmental officials and scientists, and what else? Public. All of them, they have to cooperate to reduce air pollution, to save the quality of air, because it's a serious problem and it can cause damage to all organisms, not only humans, even plants and animals, also the soil, also water resources. So it will affect the environment as well. Countries around the world are working all together to reduce air pollution. Nowadays, 197 countries, including the United States, they signed an international treaty called the Montreal Protocol. This Montreal Protocol is an international treaty designed to protect what they want in this treaty, to protect the ozone layer by decreasing the usage of what? Of CFCs. So 197 countries go through reducing the amount of CFCs and using another or other types of compounds that will lead to less pollution. Okay, so 197 go through and signed an international treaty called the Montreal Protocol. The Montreal Protocol, the purpose of this protocol, it leads to decrease or phase out CFCs that lead to ozone layer depletion. So, the Montreal Protocol on Substance that developed in 1987, it leads to decrease the amount of usage of CFCs. How can we protect the atmosphere? Also, government can put some laws and legislations to protect and to reduce the amount of air pollution. One of the laws, which is called the Clean Air Act, such as the Safe Water Act, Clean Water Act. Also here, an important law that we have to follow it and follow the standards, which is called the Clean Air Act, sets some standards to decrease the amount of certain pollutants that will release into the air. Some also states such as California, they go through own standards for motor vehicles. They put some laws to use new technologies instead of using normal vehicles. Okay, and also now other states in United States, they follow California states to reduce air pollution, especially in normal vehicles that produce a lot of smoke and damage the quality of the air. All of us have to work together to reduce the amount of air pollution. National, and state legislation helps monitor and minimize the impact on the atmosphere. How you can save and preserve the atmosphere? Do you turn off the lights when you leave your home or when you leave your room? If yes, you are helping reduce the environment, reduce the energy on the environment, reduce the pollution on the environment. How? Because you will save a lot amount of energy. Okay, you can help protect the earth atmosphere also when you are educating the others. You will tell your colleagues how they protect the atmosphere. You can also educate your families, your friends. Okay, and we can go through another resources instead of using the normal materials we can use to decrease or to minimize the impact on the atmosphere. Okay, instead, for example, of using normal or usual methods to generate electricity, such as the burning fossil fuels, you go through renewable resources. What is the meaning of word renewable resources? Type of resources that can be replaced in short time by nature, can be replaced quickly and in short time. So what are some examples of these natural resources? Instead of using burning fossil fuels, you can use what? You can use geothermal, you can use water, solar panels, and wind. What is the meaning of word geothermal energy? Look to this photo, please. The Earth surface or the Earth's land made up of 4 layers. The inner core, the outer core, the mantle, and the crust. Geo means land, while thermal means heat. So energy, they can use the energy from layers of the air, of the land. How they can use the energy from the layers of the land or from the earth? The inner core or the core has high temperature and it lies 6,500 kilometers beneath the earth. This energy can be produced and go to the upper layers by convection currents. What is the meaning of word convection current? The hot air will rise up while the cold air will sink down. So here the heat will be formed from the inner core and it will go upward to the mantle and to the crust. Okay, we live on the crust, okay, of the earth's surface. They can go through what? They can go through the crust and dig some wells to use this heat for various purposes. Also, they can use the heat that was in the inner core for generating electricity instead of burning fossil fuels. What else? You can make a difference. Humans can make a difference. How? They can go through these steps. People have many options for reducing air pollution. You might be too young, you don't have your own car, your own home, but you can go through simple activities that will preserve and save air quality. What are the ways that will lead to less air pollution? The first way, which is planting more trees, such as the vertical trees or other trees that will act as a pacifier, that will absorb air pollution and release or produce oxygen. So you will save air quality and produce more oxygen and clean air. Turning off lights and what else? Electronic devices or electronic equipment that when you are not using them. Why you have to turn? Because you will save energy and you will not use more amount of energy that produced by burning fossil fuels. What else? Instead of using vehicles or instead of using normal vehicles that work by fuels, you have to go through walking or biking or using a public transportation. Or if you want to use vehicles and cars, you have to use the new technologies, hybrid or electrical cars. Instead of throwing a lot of uh, garbage into landfills or into the trashes, you have to put it into recycle bins. These recycle bins, especially for paper, glass, plastic, and metal. These materials need a lot amount of fuel to manufacture, to be manufactured. So when you are reducing the amount of waste products and you recycle again this material, you can reuse it again. And also decrease the amount of garbage will decrease the air pollution. Some of land or waste products will be burned and this burning will lead to air pollution. What else? You can use more energy efficient technologies or modern technologies such as what? Hybrid cars such as a taxi that in UAE you can see that these cars work by both battery and fossil fuels, okay? Or using electrical vehicles or electrical cars. These cars are working by electrical power alone. Another way to use renewable resources, such as I mentioned before, wind, solar panels, geothermal energy, the energy or the heat from the Earth's surface, the inner core, or inner part of the Earth, that we can use this heat that come from the nature instead of burning fossil fuels. What is the meaning of word renewable natural resources? Are resources that can be replaced by natural processes in short time and quickly. So there are many ways to reduce and save air quality, reduce pollution and save air quality, planting more trees, using electrical vehicles, biking instead of using cars, use alternative source of renewable resources such as solar panels, and here public transportation instead of vehicles. Okay, recycle to plastic, or don't use the plastic because it is very harmful substance that will affect and land. So walking or riding bike if possible instead of using vehicles. You can also use some source of lights that light saving electricity. Okay, bulbs, some types of bulbs save electricity, so you can use this to decrease or reduce the amount of energy that you use. Recyclable bins, using modern technologies that such as electrical vehicles or hybrid cars, planting more trees, okay, to absorb air pollution and release uh, clear air or produce oxygen. Okay, I finished what I have to explain uh, in this video. I hope everything is cleared, and thanks a lot for listening. Have a nice weekend and stay safe, stay home.